All right, y'all. I have found the bottom for Bitcoin and for these crypto markets. We're going to be diving into this, doing an in-depth analysis, so make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, because we are bringing you the juiciest Bitcoin updates here on YouTube. And guys, if we can get 1,500 likes during the time this live stream is streaming, we will give away $1,000. We will do a $1,000 giveaway. So, first of all, let's talk about what has happened here with the Bitcoin price over the past few weeks. How did we end up here? How did we end up with Bitcoin down in the low 70s? Well, mid 70s, let's say mid 70s. We need to understand that this exact scenario is something that we have been prepared for months, all right? I have been short on Bitcoin since above $100,000. I have had my targets down at the mid to low 70s for a long time, okay? I have personally been calling for these levels, not saying they're guaranteed to happen, but preparing for them for a long time. And the reason why is not because I'm bearish on Bitcoin. The reason why is because these levels are extremely technical, all right? I'm not here to make predictions. I'm here to say, let's analyze the chart together and see what are the likely possibilities, all right? So we take a look at what we were looking at back in the day, and let's just see what we were talking about, because we've been going through this together, right, guys? Let's see, what were we talking about back in the day when Bitcoin was, getting its first pullback here when we were in the 90s. Now, of course, if we can't hold the $84,000 level, well, then what do we expect next? I want you to just look at this chart for a second, all right? Just take a good look. Nothing too crazy here. Nothing too crazy here. Let's just take a quick look. What do we see? We see a big breakout with basically no support, no market structure, right? Just a big old gap on the chart, all right? What does that mean? It means fast move up, fast move down, guys. I mean, we're talking like a big, smooth move. Oatmeal with extra fiber, prunes, bran flakes, and lots of raw vegetables. So if we can't hold $84,000, what do we expect? We expect a smooth move down, lots of vegetables, fiber, bran flakes, extra fiber supplement, all right? In fact, the exact scenario of getting a bounce, rejecting from just under $100,000 and then getting a move down to the 70s, this is a scenario that I've been talking about for a very long time. I've been getting a lot of hate for it too, but we've been talking about it because it's so technical. To be looking for a short from this area, right? Because again, if we are seeing a major change in market structure on the high time frames, this is a very possible scenario, right? It's a very, very possible scenario. So we've been looking for a bounce, back testing around $100,000, coming back down to the low 70s. This is why I'm in a short trade from just under $100,000 and, targeting down to the low 70s. Here we are now. So I want to lay the context here, saying everything that's happening right now, tariffs and all this stuff aside, this is a very technical move that's happening here on Bitcoin. This is not some kind of big surprise. This is not anything that nobody could have seen coming, right? This is simply just technical analysis on the chart. So we can do the same thing now to talk about what do we expect now for a bounce. Now, as we're coming down to the danger zone, why do I call this the danger zone? This is called the danger zone here because, in my opinion, this is the area where Bitcoin needs to either get a big bounce or, I'm going to say, the bull market could actually be over. And we're going to be talking about the exact levels and what to look for. But guys, if you want to trade Bitcoin and altcoins, I'm currently trading on WEEX. I'm trading on BLOFIN. BLOFIN is currently offering 10% cash back up to a $1,000 future bonus. MEXC is currently airdropping a 400 USDT position airdrop if you sign up using the link in the pinned comment in the chat. All right, pinned comment in the chat. You got 6 days left. If you're interested in this, check it out for more details. Also, if you want to join the Casper Tour VIP Discord, where we give the juicy trade setups in advance, like this juicy short trade from yesterday, given to the almost exact dollar, you can go to jasoncaspertrading.com. All right, and we are, of course, getting a little bit of a bounce from the long trade that I took yesterday in the New York Open live stream. So let's pop on over here to TradingView and let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at what's happening right here. Now, along the way up, every single time the Bitcoin price ranges and breaks out in this entire bull run. Most of the time, after forming a range, the Bitcoin price breaks out and never again interacts with any of these levels, right? There are a few times, however, where the Bitcoin price does interact with the levels. So you can see we had a sideways range right here with our high and our low. And this time, Bitcoin actually did interact with the previous range a few times before getting another bounce, right? Then you could say we had this range here. And you could see the Bitcoin price came back down to touch the tippity top of that range. Okay, then we have this sideways range right here with our high and our low. And you can see Bitcoin did actually come down to tap that level on August 4th, 2024, pretty much to the exact dollar on ByBit. All right. So here's what we have now. We have ourselves this sideways range right here. And you can see that the price is coming down very, very close to tap this level, but not quite hitting it. All right, not quite hitting it. So what are we looking at right now on our higher term time frame oscillators? Because I'll be honest with you. Right now, when I look at this chart, from the weekly time frame and down, I would say that things definitely look more bearish than bullish. All right. The reason I say this is because the weekly time frame has indeed confirmed bearish divergence, right? We make our high, we make our higher high, oscillator makes a lower high, double drive of bear div on the weekly. We come to our daily. What do we see? As we are making those higher highs, money flow, momentum getting lower. All right. Even on our 4-hour time frame, we are seeing here, as we made those highs, bearishness. The only time frame right now that's still bullish, I'd say, is the monthly. And because the reason is we're still making higher highs and higher lows, and there's really no reason to get ultra bearish here based on our monthly time frame. So our hypothesis here needs to be, if we're looking for what happens next, what areas, what levels do we need to close below in order for us to say, you know what, the bull market's over? And what areas are we looking for a bounce from to say, you know what, I think we get another big push to the upside? Now, I think we need to take a look back at what happened here in our previous range to get the answer. So let's go ahead, pull a volume indicator through this previous range here. And I want to bring your attention, at least on ByBit, to this little zone right here. All right. We've got ourselves right around $70,000 to the high 60s, the area between the value area high and the point of control of this range. I also want to extend this up a little bit to the support resistance flip at 73,005, which was our resistance. This here has been literally our resistance since March 2024. All right. So now this is major, major support. So for me, this is going to be my major key zone where if the price of Bitcoin can get a bounce from this area, I expect a significant bounce. All right, significant bounce that could result in a new all-time high. However, if we're seeing candles closing below that level, I would say it's a done deal for me. I would lean much more bearish and say the bull market is probably over because, like I said before, we have never, in the entirety of this big uptrend, seen the price come back inside the previous range without getting a bounce from it, right? Like in this instance, we came inside with a wick, but we never got a close inside of there, right? Now, again, I just want to say that we need to understand that in these markets, anything is possible. And this is why it's so important to do technical analysis. All right. This is why it's so important to be prepared, for these types of moves. Like back in December when I had my target, down in the mid 70s. And when I was talking about the fact that, the low 70s, guys, this is very, very possible. And how I was talking about shorting from around $97,000 down to the low 70s, which is something I actually did, which is something, I'm putting my money where my mouth is here, right? So I'm not just throwing out these arbitrary levels. So this is why it's so important to do analysis. Make sure to smash up the likes if you're watching this live, because if we can get 1,500 likes during the stream, we will be doing a $1,000 giveaway. All right. So what do we need to see here? Well, here's what I'm really looking at, okay? Right now, if we get another dip to the downside, which based on our daily looks like is very possible. I want to make sure that we're seeing continued bullish divergence here, which right now, like let's say in the next 2 minutes, we actually do get a dip down into that box. We would be seeing the money flow getting higher on the daily. We would be seeing the momentum waves getting higher on the daily. On our 4-hour time frame, if let's say we just get a big dip down into that box right now, we would actually be seeing, not only would we be seeing the money flow getting higher over time since February, which it is, right? We would be seeing the momentum waves getting higher like this. And even locally, we would see something like this, a local bullish divergence, just as the icing on the cake here, to potentially give us a bounce from that area. And so what we want to see is we want to see all those bullish signs as we are dipping into the box and then getting a bounce from the box, right? For best confirmation for trades like this on these higher term time frames, swing trade type stuff, you want to wait until you actually see a bounce happening. Unless you're scalping an exact level, which I like to do, if you're a higher term time frame kind of person, you want to wait until you see the bounce happening. That way you know where your stop loss needs to go. And then let's talk about 2 potential scenarios if we see a bounce from this box. All right. So for right now, I'm eyeing up the bottom of Bitcoin, at least temporarily here. And when I say temporarily, I mean this. Could the bull market be over? Yeah. And then we could make a lower high and continue down. Okay. Could the bull market still be here? Yeah. In which case, this is going to be our bottom. And bam, we get a big pump to a new all-time high. Either way, I'm expecting a bounce from this zone. I'd be very surprised if we don't see a bounce from this zone. Now, a little caveat here, because of the technicals and the fundamentals happening right now, we need to understand things are very, very bearish fundamentally. We are seeing the S&P 500 getting a bounce right from the golden pocket right now, okay? This is crazy, man. Technical analysis, they say it doesn't work. But look at this, man. This was the exact level that we gave here days ago, saying this is going to be our next support, coming right down to the golden pocket, and here we are getting a bounce. All right. Yesterday, we got a little bit of relief, but the S&P 500 is in a pretty intense downtrend here. You know, we've come down 21% on the stock market. That is crazy, man, since February. All right. And so, you know, we've got all the tariff stuff. We've got bearish fundamentals. People are feeling very bearish. People are feeling very scared. And so when you have that kind of sentiment, in my opinion, it can lead to a big pump. And if the pump doesn't lead to a new all-time high, at the very least, it'll lead to a move that we could make some good money on, right? So these are all reasons why I'm expecting a bounce from this box. One more thing I do want to say is we could see a capitulation wick on Bitcoin that could wick below the box. All right, I'm not going to say that can't happen. All right, anything could happen with Bitcoin. We like, you know, March 2020, we saw a big capitulation wick. But I do want to take a look at what happened in 2020 because, yeah, we saw a big capitulation wick. But in general, like if we ignore the wicks, right? If we ignore the wick, we literally just came down to a key zone, a key support right here, which was the lows right here. Okay, if we ignore those wicks. So this is higher term time frame stuff. Okay, I'm not telling anybody to leverage long as soon as we get to that box. I'm talking about the higher term time frame things here, where if we see a move into the box, maybe even a wick that's less comfortable than we like, but then we start to reclaim the box. To me, that is a very bullish sign, and that would mark a significant bottom. And once we're getting that bounce, this now opens up the doorway to different potential trading scenarios. Because if we're getting a bounce from this box, there are 2 options. Option A, the bear market's here and this is just a relief, and then boom, right? Option B, that was just a bear trap. The bearish fundamentals got people bearish, so they sold the bottom, and then boom, we pump, and all the people that sold the bottom of, you know, everything, they get left now on the sidelines. Okay? So now this allows us to prepare something like this. Now remember, people, you know, the people want predictions. Jason, we want a prediction. You're just telling us possible scenarios. Okay, well, look, guys, all right. It's important to be prepared for the possible scenarios, because if you're prepared for the possible scenarios, then when you say this is a possible scenario, we get a dip, we get a bounce, we reject from under 100K and we come down to the low 70s, and that's exactly what happens, you were prepared for it, so you can make money on the move, right? And we come here and we're sensational, and we wear our eyeglasses, you know, making fun of the crypto YouTube space. Open thumbnails, open mouth thumbnails. But the reality is, okay, we're here to do analysis so that we can be prepared for the move no matter what happens. Okay, so now we're doing the same thing, but instead of looking for a move to the downside, we're looking for a move to the upside. How do we prepare? Make sure to smash the likes. We got over 1,000 people in the house, 200 likes. Can we hit our like quota while this is live? I always appreciate the people after the live stream posting in the comments, we got the likes. Bruh, the stream's over, bruh. All right. So the two scenarios, in my opinion, are scenario number one. Let's say that the bear market is here. Well, in that case, we know where we're looking for our short trade. We're looking for our short trade from around the Fibonacci golden pocket retracement, the high volume node of the range, which is going to be around $95,000 to $96,000, which would take us down to a lower low. Probably we would see Bitcoin down toward the 50s, which reminds me of something else that I will touch on in a second, okay? Reminds me of something else which I will touch on in a second. This is scenario number one if we get a bounce from that area, which would allow us to get into a position, spot or otherwise, up to around this area for a nice, maybe 30% move, and then look for a short. Because here's the thing, whether or not the bull market's here or gone, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be looking for that short anyway, all right? Because that's just the way I trade, man. I look for shorts no matter what's happening. I look for longs no matter what's happening because I'm a trader, right? That's what I like to do. But this is scenario numero uno. Scenario numero dos. You know, sprinkle a little Espanol in there to make yourself more hip with the woke crowd. You know what I'm saying? Keep it multilingual. You know, the minorities feel welcome over here. The second scenario is we get a breakout and retest of this POC, and then we hit another all-time high. In which case, we can either enter a new or hold this long up to a higher price. Okay. Now, like I said, the chart is looking very bearish on all time frames except the monthly. And there's two other things we need to be aware of. Thing number one is no matter what, everybody is expecting the bull run to be over this year, period, right? I don't think there's anybody out there who feels that this, well, maybe there's some super cycle type people out there, okay, who feel that the bull market is going to continue like some super cycle, okay? But most people say, yeah, you know what? 2025, between the spring and the fall, that's the top. That's when I'm going to get out, says everybody. And then the bull market can be over. So either way, people are expecting this thing to be over this year, all right? So the real question is, are we going to take the high again, or are we going to make a lower high, right? So this is just very clear, simple high time frame stuff of, you know, if the bull market's over, we can still look for the bounce. We can still make a good profit on the long. And we can still keep the door open for a new high, right? And if the bull market's not over and we do hit that next high, well, then we just hold the long or enter a new and look for that next high, okay? The second thing that I am reminded of now is the fact that, yeah, you know, it is crazy how many people came in my live streams and gave me some crap about talking about Bitcoin down in this area. You know, back in the day, maybe I'll do, you know, I'm not an I told you so guy, but maybe I will get a compilation of the people who in the chat who, when I was in this exact position here with my target in the low 70s, when I was talking about the fact that we could slip right through here, when I was planning for my rejection from, you know, just below like $98,000 coming down to this low, people said, it will never happen, Jason. It will never happen. It could never happen. And my response is always, the very fact that you say it will never happen changes the fabric of time and space to make sure it will happen, just to wreck you, all right? So the other thing that people are saying here is that the Bitcoin price never in its history, ever, has come below the price before an election. Never. And they're right. They're right. It never has. So when was the election? November 5th, Tuesday, 2024. Man, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the fact that everyone says it's not going to happen means maybe we get that capitulation wick down to that level just to freak everybody out. and then we see, then we see that bounce. So that is something to be aware of, y'all. That really is something to be aware of. Okay, now we've had some low volatility after getting a bounce. People are waiting for New York to open. It's a Tuesday. All right, I don't know when our next FOMC meeting is, so let's go to forexfactory.com quickly, and let's take a look at when the next FOMC happens. Is it, let's see here. I don't see it. Is there one this month even? I know you guys can't see it because I'm not showing you. This is private stuff. This is some private stuff, man. Maybe it's in May. Yeah, FOMC. So May 7th, man. May 7th. Sell in May and walk away is what they often say. But hey, I ain't here to play. All right, give it to you straight, never give it to you gay, because my name is Jay Casper. But yeah, this could be a real moment of decision here. About 1 month away from this exact day here, where maybe, if we're seeing some of these scenarios play out, like let's say we do get a little bit of a bounce, this could be a turning point, right? Could be a turning point where we actually see some of this stuff play out. And so here's what I am looking at also. Let's say that the bull market is over and we enter into a bear market. Where do we look to find the bottom of the bear market? Because here's the thing. Personally, for me, I am not buying Bitcoin at this price. This is too high for me. All right, I sold Bitcoin at 60K. I'm not buying it 80K. Sorry. All right, I'm not buying it 80K. I gotta wait for lower. Like I always say, bull markets are for selling. Bear markets are for buying. If you're buying in the bull market, there's always a chance you're buying the top. I've been saying this since last cycle. All right. And I'm sorry, I'm very sorry for all the people that bought crypto in this zone. I'm really sorry. Like, I know a lot of people who got in, period, in this area. And I told them this is exactly what I said. I said, there's a good chance you're going to make money, but there's a chance you're buying the top because you're buying an all-time high. The same could be said ever since we broke out of $69,000, right? You're literally buying the all-time high. Not a good time to buy. So let's see. Let's just assume. We're going to do a thought experiment. Okay? This is just a thought experiment here. If the bear market's here, where are we going to find support? Well, historically speaking, every single bear market, we find support in the same Fibonacci zone, going all the way back to Bitcoin's inception. That is, we find it between the 786 and the 886 Fibonacci retracement from the bear market low to the bull market high. Also notice that every single time, the dip into that zone becomes more and more shallow. Right? So the first cycle, we dip below the 886. The second cycle, we front run the 886. The third cycle, we come right in between the 786 and the 886. The fourth cycle, we tap into the 786. So what does that mean? Let's just assume the top is in. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying anything. We're just here to get our scenarios. All right? You know what they say? Prepare with scenarios, eating your SpaghettiOs, or something like that. When the thing starts popping, better dodge like a viper, or else you'll get rained on like windshield wipers. This is what my grandma used to tell me. Okay, so let's just assume that this time we're going to front run the 786 and we're not going to tap into it. What is that looking at? We're talking about the high 30s. All right, we're talking about Bitcoin dipping below $40,000 for our bear market bottom, if the top is in now. All right. Now, people are screaming, Jason, it could never happen. Jason, it will never happen, never again. Okay, so you might be one of those people who said, Jason, this would never happen, all right? We'll never reject. We're never going to come down to the low 70s, Jason, never. All right, if you're thinking never, just remember, it's your thoughts that are changing the time-space fabric to make it happen. So stop thinking it'll never happen and it won't happen. All right? Stop thinking it's never going to happen and you'll prevent it from happening. But this is your fault. If you said it could never come down to the 70s, this is your fault. It's not Trump's fault with the tariffs. All right? All right, maybe it is Trump's fault, but maybe Trump decided to do the tariffs because of your thoughts. Did you ever think of that? All right? Come on, Jason. They're going to lock you up again. Put you in the mental institution. All right? You're getting a little tinfoil hattie up in here. Whew, man. Is that hot in here, guys? Or am I just going a little crazy? So, yeah. this would be the place where I'd really be aggressively buying Bitcoin now under $40,000. Under $40,000 Bitcoin, man, I'm going to be deploying that dang capital. Because here's the thing. I know for certain if we're down here, I'm not buying the top. I know I'm not buying the top. You know? So, and this is a pattern that's played out literally since the beginning of the Bitcoin. From the very beginning. All right? So, yeah, now here's something else, though. After all this stuff I've been talking about, okay, after all the stuff, all right, we got 1,200 people in the house, 400 likes. Can we get the likes, baby? Can we get the dang likes up, man? Woo! Let's do one more investigation here, because look, let's say, for example, that this is the bottom. Is there a chance that the bottom is in now? Yeah, there's a chance. So what needs to happen right now in order for us to say the bottom's in? We could look for a retracement before coming lower. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Simple, simple, simple. We just need to reclaim the point of control of the range that we formed after we broke down from this. All right? So I'm looking at all the volume that traded since the breakdown of our green line at $90,000. If we can reclaim and hold around 83,000, to me, that's a very simple line in the sand level where, okay, we're flipping major volume resistance now, very important, into support, and we could see the rise up from here to, you know, the same place that we were looking at in the event of more dip, which would be our golden pocket 618 high volume node of basically everything here, right? That's where we could look for our move back up to this area where, same deal, we either look for a rejection, you know, which I know about very well from every time I've ever asked out a girl in my life. She rejected me, broke my heart, or we get a pump above, boop, back test, poop, and then pam, pop, poop, and pam, the pop, poop, pam pattern. The pop, poop, and pam, which could give us also the introverted head and shoulders, super dang bullish pattern. Wow, look at that. And then we break out to a new all-time high. All right, where we stay fly. For, you know, because we are pretty fly for a white guy. All right, and I'm not 100% white either, guys. I got a little extra stuff in me, if you know what I mean. You know? All right. So shout out to everybody in the chat, man. God bless everybody in the chat. Shout out to Memory Man. Shout out to Sunshine Girl. Shout out to JC. Shout out to the Whiskey Reaper. He said homeboy drank a tank of coffee today. Shout out to Subscribe Media Digital. Shout out to Donald Pump. Shout out to Whiskey Reaper. Shout out to Dano Crypto. What's going on, bro? Shout out to Daily Profits consistently. I had a dream it crashed to 38K as well. That's crazy. Well, man, maybe it will crash to 38K because, like I said, I'm not here to say it's definitely going to happen, but based on the historic fib levels, that's what happens every single time. So that's what I would be expecting. All right. Shout out to Preparing for War. He says you're just hot. All right. Whew. It's good to know. I thought I was losing it again preparing for war. All right. Shout out to LH. It'll never happen. Shout out to Mighty Moto Adventure. All right. Shout out to Lyric Parapakatatashita. And shout out to MP. Shout out to Carl K. Shout out to Rad D. Great. That's impossible, Jason. Bulls are here for the barbecue, baby. All right. Preparing for war. He says many alts are back in their bear market range, including ETH. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to make a 6-hour higher low, then adding to my spot. Cool, man. I hope it works out, you know, and it could. It very well could. That's the thing. Like, it very well could work out that, you know, the lows are coming in around this area. Like I said, and I'm still going to hold to it. What I've been saying since February. When did we come down and make that first low? Yeah, okay, so February 28th. I've been saying I believe that the general low is in, but not the specific low, because the specific low is coming in somewhere in this zone. It's a big zone, so it's not like I can say this is a level. But yeah, if you see a change in market structure, you know, could work out. I personally am not interested in buying Bitcoin until we come lower. Now, shout out to Crypto Rian, who says, damn, 66% think we're still in a bull market. Most likely means we've topped out. Yeah, I mean, but here's something else that we need to keep in mind. I have never, ever in my life seen such bearish sentiment at the top of a bull market. Now, granted, things are different this time. What are the differences? Well, we hit a new all-time high before the halving. We came up to the macro 618, and we didn't get our big retracement like we always do. The third thing that happened is, well, we have like a lot of bearish fundamental things happening that didn't happen in the previous bull markets. All right. I mean, last bull market, it was just print, print, print city, right? We had just the perfect storm of money printing here after everything that happened from the vid, the doubling of the money supply under the Trump administration, and then the constant printing under the Biden administration, just completely printing everything. There's no more debt ceiling, all right? But now, you know, we've got this tariff nonsense, so let's wait and see. You know, we have to really wait and see. Shout out to Ancient Maya. When will the new trading course be released? ASAP, all right? I've literally got it. I don't know if you can see it, but let's see. Let's see. Can you see it? Oh man, look, we've got all the stuff here, all right? Well, actually, this is not all the videos. Even the shill clips, where I'm shilling the Casper crew, shilling Antarctic Exchange, reminding people to like and subscribe, all right? I've got it all here, baby. All right, I've got it all here. Actually, this is only half the course. I got the other half in a different folder, all right? But look, we got it all, all right? The course is coming out soon. We just need for the things to be right, all right? Shout out to Ice Bandit. There's no FOMC tomorrow. No, it's next month, all right? It's next month. Jason grows his own food. Be like Jason. Yeah, I do grow my own food, guys, and I recommend everybody grow your own food. It's getting to be planting season, and I'm about to go out there and plant potatoes. All right, I'm about to go out there and plant potatoes. All right. I love all of you guys. Trump was printing, creating the inflation. I know. And look, I don't want to get political here, but it's so funny how people blame it on the other side. All right, first of all, Biden is blaming Trump.
Now, let me be clear. I've been dead since 2019, and every time you've seen me on TV, it's either been a deep fake or a body double. But the science is settled. This is all Trump's fault.
Right, Trump, you know, he's blaming the other guys.
Holy crap, folks, we're dumping, and it's going to be huge. We got a massive red candle on the chart. Kamala Harris and her cronies are at it again. This is what communism will do, folks. We need to get together and make Jason Casper great again. Let me see a blue candle, baby.
But the reality is, guys, you cannot become the president unless you're in the secret club of banksters that control the money to steal all the wealth from you via the fiat currency. And that's just how it is. I'm sorry, Trump's not here to save you. He's not here to make anything better. He's here so the elite get richer and you get screwed. I'm sorry to say it's the truth. Two wings of the same bird, and they put Trump in there to trick everybody and make everyone think, oh, he's America first, he's going to save everything. He's not, okay? He's not. So we just got to play the markets. We got to do what we got to do. We got to keep our head down. We got to work hard. We got to start businesses. We got to learn how to invest. We got to grow our own food. We got to build strong communities, because screw the government. They're not here to help you anyway. That's not the purpose of the federal government. All right, this is America. We govern ourselves here. So we got to get that mindset. God bless you all in Jesus' name. I got to head out. I love you all with the love of the Messiah, Jesus, the Creator God, who loves each and every one of us and desires a relationship with us. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.